Hello, I'm Jen. Welcome back to my channel, Literary Love 123, where I combine my master's in English with my passion for the horror genre to talk about the books that I read. Today's video is one that we see this time of year all over BookTube. That's right. It is the mid-year freak out book tag. But to be honest, I don't need the mid-year freak out to freak me out. I've been freaked out all year long anyway. So after this quick intro, I will be right back to do the tag. All right, so let's get into the mid-year freakout book tag. I was tagged by Cliff at Cliff's Dark Gems. I will link Cliff's channel down in the description box below. You're probably subscribed to Cliff, but if for some reason you're not, then you need to get on that immediately and make sure you subscribe to Cliff's Dark Gems. He has a wonderful, wonderful channel, and he's a very warm and welcoming member of the BookTube community. Let's get into the questions. Question number 1. Best book so far this year. Now, this book was not released in 2025, but I read it this year. I'm obsessed with it. I'm currently working on a video going into a deep dive of this book, and that is Night Film by Marisha Pessel. Mixed media, horror elements, suspense, mystery, House of Leaves meets Twin Peaks. The second question is best sequel. I don't know. I have not read any sequels this year. So moving on to number 3, favorite reread. The Haunting of Velkwood by Gwendolyn Keist. This book was my favorite book of 2024. I reread it for the aforementioned Cliff and Christine at Secrets Read, their book club, the Fright Club book club. They chose The Haunting of Velkwood and asked me to be a guest host for that live chat. The Haunting of Velkwood remains my favorite reread of this year. Probably any other reread I do will not be able to topple this from the top spot of my favorite reread. Suburban Gothic, queer, so many wonderful elements in The Haunting of Velkwood. So let's get to the next question. A genre you've been loving. No surprise, horror and the Gothic, which those two are very closely related, sometimes intertwined. Prompt or question number 5, new release you haven't read yet but want to, and that is King of Ashes by S.A. Cosby. So this book follows a family who has their mother disappeared mysteriously many years before. Their father is in a car accident, which the main character finds out might not have been an accident because his brother is involved with some pretty shady people. So our main character goes back home to try to take care of things for his family, and I believe he's going to become enmeshed in some crime and danger, and it should be a pretty brutal book. From what I know of S.A. Cosby, this will actually be my first book by him, but I'm so excited to dive into this one. So, prompt number 6, most anticipated release for the second half of the year. I have 2 for this. The first one is Feral and Hysterical by Sadie Hartman, or Mother Horror, where she is going to highlight women horror writers. I loved her book. 100, is it 100 or 101 books to read before you're murdered? So good. So I'm really especially excited to see her focus on women horror writers. My other most anticipated release is We Love You, Bunny by Mona Awad. Never in my wildest dreams could I have imagined that there would be another book with the bunnies. I don't know if it's a sequel or a prequel. I don't care. Mona Wad writes it, I will read it. I cannot wait to get my hands on We Love You, Bunny. My biggest disappointment, When the Wolf Comes Home by Nat Cassidy. I had very high expectations for this book. So many people raved about it, talked about how wonderful it was. I tried to temper my expectations because, unpopular opinion, I did not care for Mary by Nat Cassidy. Everyone seemed to fall head over heels for that one. I did not care for it. However, I loved his follow up, Nestlings. Uh, that was one of my top reads of 2024 or 2023, whenever it came out. I don't remember, but it was in my top 5. I think it was my number 3. So I really obviously loved Nestlings. And When the Wolf Comes Home, I couldn't get into it. I did finish it. Many times considered DNFing it, but I wanted to find out what happened, and I don't really want to go into a lot of details about it here in this tag video, but it just disappointed me and let me down. If you want to know more about why, then please let me know in the comments, and I'll get into some more discussion about why When the Wolf Comes Home just did not work for me. Number 8, biggest surprise, Senseless by Ronald Malfi. No, it's not that I did not think I would like a book by Ronald Malfi, because I have read Come With Me, and it was 5 stars. I read Black Mouth, and it was 4 stars. I think I read The Night Parade after I read Senseless. I read them right about the same time, and I have a video review of both of those books together. And The Night Parade was 5 stars. Senseless was 5 stars. It just surprised me because the synopsis really didn't grab my attention. There are also multiple points of view, which does not always work for me. There's a crime element to the story, but it just hooked me from the very beginning, and I was propelled through the whole story. All the different points of view were interesting. I never felt like, oh, come on, let's get past this point of view and get to another person. I was equally invested in all of the characters' stories, and the way that they all meshed together at the end was just brilliantly planned and put together. So if you want to know more about Senseless, you can watch my review, and I will link that video down below. Favorite new author or new to you? So I really cheated, so to speak, on this one because I have 3. First of all, Lucy Rose, author of The Lamb. I know you've seen this book around. 5 stars. Gut-wrenching, but beautifully written. Coming of age, cannibalism. It's just a beautiful story, but grab your Kleenex. Lucy Rose also does short films, and I watched one of her short films that's available on YouTube. I will also link that down in the description box below. I think it's called She Lives Alone. It's very short, but it's very haunting, very atmospheric, and I'm here for whatever Lucy Rose may do next. Another favorite author that's new to me is Kat Dunn, who wrote Hungerstone, which is one of my favorite books of the year so far. I talked about Hungerstone in the same video where I talked about The Lamb, reading new releases. This is a queer feminist retelling of Carmilla, and it gave me everything I wanted in a story about Carmilla. Stunning, just absolutely stunning, and 100% good for her. The next author I almost forgot that is new to me that I am absolutely head over heels for is Marisha Pessel, who wrote Night Film. I have another one of her books over in my TBR cart, which I should have grabbed up. That book is Darkly, and it was gifted to me for my birthday by the wonderful Isabel at Isabel Reads. I will link her channel down below so you can subscribe to her. She has wonderful, wonderful content. She talks about books, she shares her journal, she does tag videos. She's newer, and you're really missing out if you're not subscribed to Isabel. So I am going to now move on to the next question, which is newest fictional crush. And I'm going to pull this book right back up because the character of Carmilla in Hungerstone is 100% my new fictional crush. She is sexy. She is violent when she needs to be. She is powerful. She is willing to stand up to Lenore, who was our other main character, Lenore's ass of a husband. Carmilla takes no shit, and I am completely and 100%. I keep saying 100%. Let's make a drinking game. If I say 100%, take a drink. Anyway, I'm 100% in love with Carmilla. If she showed up at my house tomorrow, so sorry, Tim. I gotta go. All right. So the next question, number 11, newest favorite character. So I did not want to choose Carmilla since she is my fictional crush. So I decided to choose another favorite fictional character. And that character is Angel from My Life as a White Trash Zombie. First of all, look at this cover. How could she not be a favorite character? Look at her. She's just got that perfect vibe. She just got that hair, the tattoos, the blood. She's just a goddess queen right here. So I absolutely loved Angel. She, as you can tell, she does get turned into a zombie, but this book is not your typical zombie fare. Did I say I read it for Zombie-thon? If I didn't, I did read it for Zombie-thon, and it was also again with Cliff and Kritz and their Fright Club book club. It was their Fright Club book club pick for May, and they had a wonderful live show. And Kat was on their live show. Kat from Kat's Novel Adventures. She is the creator of Zombie-thon. So I'll link her channel down below too, so that you can subscribe to all of these channels because you're missing out if you're not subscribed already. All right, so the next question is book that made you cry. So again, The Lamb. This ending wrecked me. It totally wrecked me. I am tearing up now thinking about the end of The Lamb. This is definitely a book that made me cry. All right, so the next question is book that made you happy. And that is Birthday Party Demon by Wendy Dalrymple. I read that, I believe, in April for Old School April. And I believe it was also Katrina, who was a host of Old School April. One of the hosts, I think it was her host recommendation. I will link her channel down below too. But I loved Birthday Party Demon. I enjoy all of the books I've read by Wendy Dalrymple. She needs to get more recognition. I need you all to get out there and read some Wendy Dalrymple. I believe she just had a new book called Credenza coming out, which is about a haunted piece of furniture, very gothic vibes. Anyway, back to Birthday Party Demon. It's what it sounds like. These girls are celebrating a birthday. One of the girls is having a birthday. She's having a sleepover. They get into some stuff they shouldn't. One of them gets possessed by a demon, and a wild time ensues. So a little bit like My Best Friend's Exorcism in some ways, but the girls are younger. And in my opinion, this was a lot more lighthearted than My Best Friend's Exorcism. And I had a really good time because it gave me 90s vibes, and just I could feel myself in these young girls, how the way I was at that age, and just having birthday parties, sleepovers, getting into things you shouldn't. It was a lot of fun. All right. So the next question is most beautiful book you've received or bought. So, again, one of the most beautiful books I bought this year is The Lamb. I mean, look at the cover. We have the flowers, we have the berries, we have that delicious looking piece of meat, and we have some teeth around it. So, it's beautiful, but it's also disturbing, which is one of my favorite combinations, right? Beautiful and disturbing. And the other book I want to talk about for the most beautiful book I've purchased this year is my painted edition of Frankenstein. So, also, if you are familiar with my channel, you know Frankenstein is my favorite classic. And we have this beautiful quote on the back: "The world was to me a secret which I desired to divine." All right. So, the next question is books you need to read by the end of the year. I'm changing need to want because I don't want to feel like I am bound by these books, even though in some ways you could say I am because some of them are book club picks and I run the book club. So, yeah, maybe I need to, but I'm going to rephrase it to books I want to read by the end of the year. That sounds a lot more fun. Okay, so the first one is The Shining Girls by Lauren Bukes. I have wanted to read this for a long time, and it's been on my TBR in my Kindle for so long. I don't know why I haven't picked it up yet, but I was recently I was recently listening to the Lady Killers podcast, and I will link their podcast down below too. They mentioned the book The Shining Girls, and that piqued my interest and reminded me that I wanted to read it. I don't know a lot about it. I just know that it has to do with a serial killer that travels through time and picks, I guess, off these girls who are known to shine. It just sounds very interesting. So the next book that I want to read by the end of the year is Crypt of the Moon Spider by Nathan Ballingrad. That is a book club pick for the Literary Love Book Club coming up. And so that kind of bonds me to it. All I know about this one is that uh, it's on the moon. There is a spider, and the silk of this spider is supposed to cure people with mental illness. So our main character is going to go to the moon to get this cure, and it's a novella, so it won't take that long, but I'm just very interested in this idea. And it is also under this category or a series, I believe, that Nathan Ballingrad is doing called Lunar Gothic. And you put the word Gothic in something, that piques my interest immediately, but I've not thought about or heard about lunar Gothic. So that really got me started thinking about even movies like Alien, how that could be considered a lunar Gothic because they experience, a haunting, the past coming back to haunt the present. The forms there have been there, and now they are hatching or emerging to affect the crew. So anyway, I just started going off on all these wild ideas about lunar Gothic, which has nothing to do per se with Crypt of the Moon Spider. But I'm also interested in mental illness depictions in books, although quite often it's not depicted well. But as someone who has mental illness, I am always on the lookout for accurate or really in-depth explorations of mental illness done in a nuanced and respectful way. So hopefully it will be that. All right. So the next book that I want to read by the end of this year is my November book club pick for the Literary Love Book Club. And it is also going to be the group read for Vamp Vember in November, which is a readathon, watchathon, activitython that I am hosting. It's my first big event to host like that. So I created, or I'm in the process of creating, the ideas for Vampvember, but anyway, it's coming. More details will emerge. But that book that I'm talking about is Blood on Her Tongue by Johanna Van Veen. I loved this author's My Darling Dreadful Thing. It was one of my favorite books of 2024. So this one is about a sister who is concerned for her sister, or a woman, I guess I should say, who is concerned for her sister who is experiencing some physical and mental issues. So she goes to see about her, and she notices not only is her sister angry, she's also hungry. And I mean, look, we've got blood, we've got, look at this cover too. I could also say this is one of the most beautiful books I've purchased this year too. But this obviously is going to have to do with vampires. All right. So finally, favorite book community members. I have so many. I have so many. All of the booktubers that I have mentioned so far are among my favorites. Many, many others that I will not have time to mention in this video. But I do want to highlight smaller channels. I really want to put the spotlight on creators who don't have as many subscribers. I'm a creator that doesn't have very many subscribers. So I know how difficult it is to make content and to put yourself out there and then to feel like you're not really reaching a wide audience. But at the same time, I will say I do have a core group here who is faithful to comment on my videos, to like, to share. And I've developed what I feel like is a true relationship. And I appreciate that so, so much. But we all know that it does make a difference if you have more subscribers. So, with all of that out of the way, I just want to highlight some smaller channels. I want to highlight Isabel Reed's Nocturnal Nasties, E.D. Lewis at E.D. Lewis Reviews, Cobalt Dragon, that's Elaine, Dark Violet Dreams, that's M. And I also want to shout out and give a big thank you to Kaylee at Happy Goat Horror for mentioning my channel in her mid-year freak out book tag video, and for saying so many kind and wonderful things about me and my channel. It really lifts my spirits. So I hope that you will go and subscribe to everyone that I have talked about in this video. I would also appreciate it if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, if you would do so. And if you would hit that like, if you would hit that bell so we can keep freaking out or chilling out about books. I hope you have a 100% wonderful rest of your day and night, wherever you may be. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye. I said bye.